Hey guys, welcome back to Shifting Gears. My name is Grayson Harris. This is Corey Smith, and we're here to give you all the latest and greatest in the freight and transportation news. Starting in Los Angeles and Long Beach, Corey, we've been following the shift in shipping from the West Coast to the East Coast.
hmm
And I think what happened last week isn't really going to make it any better for the West Coast. West Coast, not the best coast, at least not in this. Well, it's
Not in
not in
this
this
regard.
situation. No, no. And with you here, I'm going to let the puns fly. I'm going to let you know right
Do
now.
it,
Yeah, because
please.
you appreciate the puns. So let's just get right into it. The ports of LA and Long Beach, they closed down last Thursday for a good 24 hours. Basically, the night shift of Thursday into the day shift of Friday. For what the Pacific Maritime Association called a concerted action to withhold labor. So that's what an industry way of saying protest, strike. So the details of it: 13 worker absences, were reported on Thursday because members were attending a union meeting, which they conveniently did not tell their bosses about.
Nope.
Right? Yeah. Well, sorry, we got a meeting that we just didn't tell you about. We gotta go. Fair play on them. I love how petty they are.
Yeah.
Like just from this, there was another story too. I believe it was also LA and Long Beach that me and Whitney covered. I think either last week or the week before, where they were taking strategic lunch breaks
Yeah.
to like slow down. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Right. Yeah. They were taking longer lunch breaks or something
Right.
like that, and it was just kind of clogging up.
Yeah, they're all taking them at the same time too,
Right.
so that
Yeah.
nobody could do anything.
hmm
For example, another reason why people might be trying to move out of there is because this particular protest cost one exporter of agricultural goods uh, who had 10 trucks turned away at the port and ended up incurring about $20,000 worth of added costs. So,
God.
this 24-hour protest here, it's not the first, probably not going to be the last. So.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, like you said, they were finally trying to sell. Hey, we've got capacity opened up. No backlogs.
Mhm.
Everything's good. You can start moving your freight back over here, and then this happens, and
Yeah.
like you said, nail in the coffin. I don't see shippers redirecting their freight to the West Coast anytime soon.
No.
Um, I mean, why would they?
Corey, what you got on your end over there, buddy?
Well, it was a big week for news, for EV news specifically. So Toyota's been manufacturing cars out of Canada since like the late 80s. But recently, with the EV industry not necessarily booming, but growing, we'll say.
Crawling.
Crawling,
Yeah.
yeah. We're slowly getting there. Volkswagen announced in March that they were going to start building their batteries for their electric vehicles in Canada.
That's right.
They say that it's due to their access to raw materials and natural energy and things like that,
Right.
resources in Canada. And then just this week, Ford also announced $1.3 million investment to build its new electric vehicle hub there as well. So behind China and Europe, the US is the third largest EV market. Sales climbed last year up to 5.8% of the 13.8 million new vehicles sold. So that's not really a whole lot compared to China and Europe, but we're slowly trending up. And as companies try to reshore and position their operations closer to the U.S., Canada, and
Yeah, I think
Mexico,
we'll see a lot of that.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of that. So in an effort to boost those sales, the EPA actually proposed a new tailpipe emissions limit that could require up to 67% of all new vehicles sold by 2032 to be all electric. So they're not exactly saying you have to buy or sell an EV, but the emissions limits that they're going to have will pretty much require you to buy one.
Pretty much. I mean, that's 2/3 of new vehicles.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's a huge
right.
change in 6 years, 7 years.
Definitely. And it's a slow turning ship. We're slowly getting there. I mean, there are startup EVs that are really not doing well. I know that even Ford, obviously not a startup EV, but startup for EV production, they lost a lot of money just trying to crank it out. I mean, it's going to be a long process, but
absolutely,
we're trying to get there. So a poll done by CNBC reported that more than half of Americans said that they would not their next vehicle would not be an electric vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest concern was the charging infrastructure.
I could see that. I mean, I don't
Right.
see very many charging stations
Exactly.
around, and it's hard to find.
You only see a few here and there. They're usually filled.
You have to live in the city for that to even really be a possibility.
Definitely, definitely. But to that, Walmart, oddly enough, announced that they plan to add thousands of EV charging stations to their stores by 2030.
Oh, that's smart.
I know, isn't it? So Walmart has over 4,700 stores, more than 600 Sam's Clubs, and all of those are, about 90% of those are within 10 minutes of every American.
That makes it a lot more
so
accessible.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a start for that infrastructure to be there. I don't think there will be an excuse whenever that, or if that happens, assuming it does.
Mm-hmm.
And also Walmart is going to be the ones operating and being responsible for those charging stations.
That was going to be my next question, is if they're outsourcing.
No, they're not. They're looking for suppliers right now to build them stuff, but they're going to be the ones that own them, which is nice, because
it's interesting.
Yeah, it's not going to be like one of those situations, where the vending machine takes your money and then you go to the person at the counter. They're like, "Oh, it's not ours, man. You're going to have to call the number on the machine, and maybe they'll get back to you, but probably not."
You have to call Nestle.
Right. Yeah. You will know it will be Walmart that owns these. Assuming there's anything that ever went wrong, like they'll be the ones responsible.
That's interesting.
And another reason why people, are reluctant to purchase an EV is the distance.
Mm-hmm.
Only a couple hundred miles maybe before you have to charge again.
Yeah, I think the most you get, I think I've seen like 300, maybe 400 miles is like probably pushing it on the limit.
Well, what Dodge just did this week, or it was last week, announced their electric Ram, which they're calling the Rev.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, and it is supposed to get up to 500 miles.
I mean, Guts Glory Rev doesn't really have as much of a ring to it.
Rev, not quite, but it looks good.
Okay, that's all that matters.
Should like throw a picture on here or something.
Yeah, no,
it's a good looking vehicle. And yeah, it's supposed to hit up to around 500 miles.
Well, Corey, I have this next story is something that I looked up because I am currently looking for a house. I'm in the the housing market, which I picked a great time to do that. Yeah. And one of the biggest issues that I'm running into, or things that I'm worried about for the future of moving, is my 2 cats. Trying to wrangle both of them up is a challenge of its own. But then moving into a new place, it's like opening a totally different Pandora's box. But then I started to put things into perspective. These are just 2 small little cats, right? What if I were working for a zoo or an aquarium and I've got to move a rhino, a whale shark? Then it becomes a bigger problem. So I kind of looked up, how does this process work, and what are some of the, more out there things that have happened? For the most part, animals are going to be transported by plane. It's the more humane way to do it, less travel time, less time in a crate. Something about it doesn't sound humane just for whatever reason, but it just is. Because, something about putting an animal on a plane just doesn't sit right with me. However, speaking of sitting right on a plane, there was a story about from Zoo Miami. They were taking some importing 2 sloths from Panama to Zoo Miami. Oh, this is unbelievable. Okay. And they had special permission from the airline to buy tickets for the sloths because they could not fit them in the cargo hold because of like the way that they were raised with, human care and everything. So they had special permission from the airline to buy 6 seats, 2 seats for the personnel and 4 seats for the sloths.
Wow.
So they took up 6 seats. And so imagine just being on a plane, turning around, and it's just like some sloths just chilling in the crate.
Buckled up and everything.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Having a Jack and Coke or something.
Yeah, some peanuts.
Yeah. I moved a tiger once.
You moved a tiger once?
Yeah.
How did that? What do you
and it was via plane too. It was when I worked at FedEx Express in Memphis.
I was gonna say FedEx moves a lot of animals.
Yeah, they do. That's why they had like a panda on one of them because it was kind of their signature thing for a little bit. It was a giant cage, and there was just like a steel barrier around it to where we couldn't see the tiger couldn't see us, which was a good idea. We didn't want to startle this thing, but I got down and I saw his giant paws just like pacing back and forth.
Wow.
So yeah, they definitely do move a lot of animals.
That's wild. Okay, guys, I was going to say, because they moved, just kind of like what you alluded to, they moved a giant panda from Washington, D.C. to China. It was a
Yeah.
16-hour trip.
Hmm.
When some of the vets were caretakers, I guess, were just flying alongside with them. I
Yeah,
think it's like 50 pounds of bamboo as well, is what they had
probably.
to keep on
That
them.
sounds right. A lot of eating to be done on 16
Yeah,
hours.
exactly. So here's another just list of wild animal shipping stories here. Zoo Miami shipped frogs to France and has brought a elephant to Miami from Australia.
An elephant.
Yeah,
Now, I mean that wasn't on a plane, right? That
that
was probably a cargo
probably was on
vessel.
a
It was public.
cargo
Yeah,
vessel of some sort, and then once they get it to the states, it's on a truck, I would imagine.
yeah.
For the most part, unless you're a rhino, an elephant, or a venomous animal, I find that interesting. If it's any sort of venomous animal, it can't be on a plane. So snakes on a plane is like an
Not.
actually historically accurate.
Yeah.
It's kind of how that one goes. But we've got some more ones here. But you had an 800-pound female polar bear that was shipped from Alaska to the Buffalo, New York Zoo. That must have been wild. That's another 10-hour trip at least.
Yeah.
We have 19 penguins and 2 sea otters that were displaced from the Aquarium of the Americas in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina and shipped over to California, and then eventually shipped back.
Oh god.
So we got some road tripping penguins here.
They didn't want that California sun.
No, not at all. Texas to California, a 2.5-year-old dolphin that was unable to swim due to injuries. So don't know why that detail was included, but I mean whatever. A sea lion from Hawaii to Houston. That's
Mm.
a pair of grizzly bears and 2 brown bear cubs from Anchorage, Alaska to Oakland, California. And this is probably my favorite one right here. When you're shipping a racehorse, you treat it like you're shipping an athlete.
Yeah.
So they have the best commodities. These racehorses are flying first class for the most part. And there was a story of how 9 racehorses were shipped from Moscow, Russia to Amsterdam, Netherlands, and then raced like the next day. Yeah.
You think they get jet lag and everything? You think they're
Oh,
all
they
messed
have
up
to.
bad? Yeah.
They have to. I mean, I can't imagine, but they're also they're getting taken care of so well in there. They have like thermostats and cameras that are always on them and all this other stuff. So rest assured, they are flying better than us.
First class.
First class. Well, that's that then. So maybe I really shouldn't be all that worried about moving 2 cats basically across town. I think I'm gonna be okay.
It'll be fun.
I don't have to move a bear from Anchorage to Buffalo.
No bears, no tigers, no sea otters,
No,
penguins. You should be fine.
should be fine.
It'll be all right.
Well, I'll have plenty of time to think about that then, I guess. In the meantime, y'all, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks.